It's because you have light, so it's
That's true. Yeah, I guess now that after 3 years of doing this, I have a light and a stand. All right. So what did we do today?
We did a double feature.
Yes. And who are you?
Oh, hi, I'm Melissa.
So the other night, Melissa's. I said, "Oh, I'm off today. I think I'm going to go see Nosferatu. I was see the Wolfman and Nosferatu." And you're like, "Oh, well, what time you going?" I was like, 4:00. And you're like, "I'm going to tag along."
Yep.
So we went and did a monster movie double feature today. I wore my Frankenstein shirt.
I just have the devil.
Same thing. The devil's a monster, depending on how you look at it. So we saw Focus Features Nosferatu, and we saw Blumhouse's The Wolfman. We saw The Wolfman first because we got the times wrong.
Yeah. But that's okay because it was exciting and I got to sit in those interesting seats.
Yeah, we went to
RCX?
RCX was the name of the theater. And they have like the seats that like have the speakers into them, which is cool. But the other theater was better because they had warming seats.
Oh, the other ones had too.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even notice it.
We didn't notice it.
Yeah, you were like pushing buttons. You're like, "Oh, my butt's getting warm." I was like, "Well," and it was because they have seat warmers in them. I was like, "That's pretty cool," because apparently that theater just doesn't pay their heating bill.
Oh my god,
it was so fucking cold.
One.
All right, so Wolfman. I read a ton of shitty reviews about this movie.
And I knew nothing about it,
yeah.
So I went in blind.
Way back in the day, Ryan Gosling was supposed to be in this.
Really?
Yeah. It's directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, the guy who did, Lee Wynell, the guy who did Upgrade and The Invisible Man. He's one of the creators of Saw. Wolfman is one of my favorite monsters.
Okay.
I'm a big Wolfman fan. And all the reviews were saying like, oh, it doesn't go with the curse aspect. It doesn't use the full moon. The werewolves don't look like werewolves. The little kids were annoying.
They typically weren't.
Yeah.
Traditionally.
Because the way they set it up is it's very much like the thing that the werewolf myth is based on. Was it a wolf face or something?
I believe you said that. Yeah.
Face of the wolf or something like that.
Face of the wolf.
Wolf face would be like racist.
Yeah. Face of the wolf. It's more or less it's a plague that. Is infecting everyone.
Yeah, and I guess it would be like what they consider like the skinwalkers or something like that.
And it starts off in the 90s, so it's like a 95 coming of tale with a father and son in the woods. And dad is overprotective.
Yeah, well, he's kind of a dick.
Well, he was a little Marine guy,
Yeah.
But he already knew that something was in the woods, but the kid didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So he was more concerned about, taking care of his kid.
And telling him, like, you got to be careful, I'm not always going to be here to protect you and stuff like that. The main motif of the movie is generational trauma.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because every one of these movies now has to have, because Invisible Man was about, like, gaslighting.
Okay.
Did you see Invisible Man?
I believe so.
Okay. I saw it with my boss from my old job, so I know I didn't see it with you. But I saw it at the theater that I would wind up taking over later, so,
okay.
Yeah. The movie's about generational trauma. The dad and the son are out hunting. The son wants to get a better shot at the deer, so he runs away, and there's something out there in the woods. The dad knows it's out there. They climb up in one of those deer perch things.
Yeah, well, the kid sees it first, and he was like, he didn't think he saw anything, and then his dad grabs him and was like, what are you doing out here? You can't be out here. And they hear something, and then they end up at a deer perch.
Because I like that scene where you don't see it. You just see it, you hear it coming up, and then you see its breath. That was a cool scene.
That was nice.
And you and I were both saying, like, when you see the scope, we thought that it was going to pop up in it.
Yeah.
So the dad and the kid get back, and the dad uses the CB radio, and he's like, it's out there in the woods. I know it's out there.
Yeah, he's talking to someone, and the kid just happens to hear it and, like, startles the dad.
Yeah.
Then it basically fast forward to 30 years later.
And now the dad is a stay-at-home dad, taking care of his daughter, Ginger.
No, the boy is the dad.
Yeah, the boy's the dad.
Okay.
He's grown up.
You said a dad.
Oh, okay. Well, the dad is now the boy's dad is now a dad.
Yeah.
Whatever. I didn't get that wrong. The son of the dad is now a dad.
Yes. The son is now a dad.
And so he's a stay-at-home dad, and he has a daughter, and she kind of jumps up on a thing, and she's like walking too close to the street, and then like a homeless guy gets in front of her and starts cursing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm sorry,"
Yeah, he yells at her. He yells at the daughter like the dad yelled at him, and he's like, "I don't want to be like my dad," and
Then maybe don't take them out in the woods where there's fucking werewolves.
Well, I mean, they weren't going to. But it basically starts off with that, the dad is finally went missing. Who knows how long, and
I think they said it was like 13 years is what the thing said.
13 years.
Yeah.
So the dad's been missing, and now
the state of Oregon has finally declared him dead.
Yes, so they got to go claim his house, and the kid hasn't been back there in ages because like him and his dad, his dad was so hard on him that he rebelled and left.
And now he's married to the girl from Ozarks, who at first we thought was his other daughter because she looks way younger than him.
Yeah, they actually look really young, but
when she came out, I was like, is that supposed to be like his other daughter or something like that? You know?
Well, it was great because it just starts off and like immediately you know something's weird because they can't find the house, and when they get to this one, it's basically like backtracked. So that the deer hut that they were in when he was a kid, and, like the monster was there. Now they had to stop there because they're looking for the dad's property and they're not sure where to go.
And she's like, "There's something in the tree," and you see it move, and you're like, "Ooh!" And then it turns out that it was
there was a guy in the hut.
Yeah, it was the son of the guy he was talking to on the CB radio.
Yes, and then he comes down and he's like, "Oh, your dad's house is this way. I'll take you to it." And like the wife's already like freaked out, like
because he's gonna get in the back seat with the kid with a rifle.
Yeah.
And then like, but this is the thing I liked about the movie that a lot of people I've read didn't like is okay, you're uncomfortable first because you have this weird dude getting in the car with the family, and you know you could have like a Hills Have Eyes. Kind of thing where it's like the people up in the woods are crazy or whatever. Hi, Elvira. But instead, what happens right away is the fucking car, like, they swerve off the road because there's a monster man.
Oh, yeah. And the immediate thing the guy says is, like, remember, you're not allowed to be out after dark. And, like, there's not many of us left in the woods anymore. And immediately they're driving and it's, like, dark, you know? Just
that scene was awesome, though, when they turned back. That was there's a couple really... I'm not a jump scare fan, but this movie had some genuinely cool jump scares in it.
Jump scares and just, like, graphic, like, grotesque things. When you saw it, you were just like, oh, it made your skin crawl.
Oh, yeah, because every time the fingernail thing... did you ever see Stir of Echoes?
Yes.
The Kevin Bacon movie? Where the girl, like, they, like, sexually, like, abuse her, and, like, she goes like that, and her, like, fingernails break off. I was like, ah.
Or when he was gnawing into his arm.
Yeah.
And then he had to gnaw his leg off, and you're just like, oh.
Like a coyote. Yeah, so they swerve to miss a thing in the road. You don't quite see what it is. And then you have that scene from Jurassic Park where the fucking thing is in the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to get out of it.
Because they're in a van to go collect his dad's stuff, and it just ends up sideways off the road in some trees.
The fucking dude falls out and dies instantly.
He just opens the door like an asshole. Like, why? He falls out, and like only the dad sees him because now the wife and daughter are on top of the
Yeah, he got them to crawl out onto the top.
And he's still strapped in with the seatbelt, and he's looking down because he's closing the door because he hears something coming, and he finally sees the guy at the bottom, and then the body just gets
ripped off, yeah.
And it just gets ripped apart.
And I said
what is happening?
I said he's only in there because they have to come back later and find the gun.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then, yeah, so he gets, the thing that's on the front of the car breaks the glass, and you think he got cut from the glass.
Yeah.
But it turns out that he got cut by the wolf creature. And then you have this cool, like, I like the idea of there's something outside, but you're dealing with something inside as well.
Oh, yeah.
And these people are like, you know, she says in the car, she's like, we're tough people. And he goes, uh-huh. Because they're from the city. They don't know this kind of stuff.
Know. They don't really know the horror that they were waiting for.
And they've coddled the daughter all these years to kind of keep her away from that kind of stuff, that this is, like, hardcore shit.
Oh, yeah. And she's dressed in, like, a teddy bear hat and... kind of like a Santa Claus outfit to me, and they finally, have to run through the woods now because this thing is chasing them, and then they get to the dad's house, and you don't realize how suspect it is, but the dad's house already has, like, bars on the windows, and the door is gated up, and, like,
And they don't show us the thing yet. There's a lot of misdirection, but all we start to see is that the dad now inside is getting sick.
Yeah.
He's, they go in the basement. I was saying, we just went to Wawa, and you were like, I'm going to get beef jerky. And I was like, don't bite it or your teeth will fall out. Because the dude in the movie, like, he's like, oh, my dad's beef jerky. He bites it and his fucking tooth falls out.
So then that's when he's, like, transforming.
Yeah, because it's like, and then the transformation takes place later. He's just getting sicker and sicker. But he does have, like, this fucking, his arm looks like it has a vagina on it.
Yeah, because at first, like, when he gets a tooth out, the wife wants to help her, so she like tries to bandage it on, and then she notices that his arm is fucked up. Yeah. So that was just a pretty bizarre, and then
to like get it off, because you can see that like the fur or something's underneath. He's like gnawing the skin off of his arm.
Oh, he was eating his arm for a minute, and she's just staring at him like, "What are you doing?" And he's like starting to get incoherent. And...
Yeah, that is another cool thing is he started to have. You don't think about that like in werewolf movies. You don't think that like their senses would have to change to a canine. So you have these times where like you hear like a pounding
Yeah.
in another room, and you look at it's a spider.
Yeah.
You can hear the spider. It sounds like it's like drums.
I thought it was stuff. At first, I thought it was stuff outside. And
Yeah.
that's when you came back and said, "Oh, did they start like any of the sensors and
Yeah.
stuff?" I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Oh, that makes sense."
There you
now.
go. And then like sometimes he can't understand them when they're talking.
No.
It's like it sounds like all hollow. And then sometimes when he sees them, everything changes color, and it goes in that like night vision kind of.
Yeah,
look.
it was like night vision, and the human's eyes were glowing.
Yeah,
and
which is
kind of
really
very-
cool looking.
It was neat.
Yeah, so there's something outside, and that's a threat. But then he's slowly becoming a monster inside, and that's what I liked. I just like that idea of a home invasion movie with a werewolf.
Yeah.
You know, the score was well done. It was well shot. There's some dumb shit in there, like them climbing on top of the greenhouse.
Some things didn't make sense, but as far as like to get scare factors,
Yeah.
I could see why they did it. But they could have done it a little bit different.
Oh, because that was after they went to the truck.
Yeah.
The
truck was cool.
The truck,
was
because
fun.
all the windows were all muddied up. And I was like, oh, it's going to be out there. And the wife has in her mom jeans.
Oh, God. I don't understand why she was wearing mom jeans. Well, that was never a thing.
She looked like a 1980s lesbian lumberjack.
I don't know what the outfit was with that.
It was like, and you were saying, like, oh, what if she turns into a werewolf? I was like, I don't think werewolves wear mom jeans, you know?
She would, though.
But so she has to keep running out of the car to, like, start the battery with the jumper.
Which, honestly, if you have a car battery and you're starting a truck with the battery, just change the battery in the truck.
It's the same distance, you know? But they get back in the car when she turns the light on. It fucking punches through the glass, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then it chases them out into the grounds, and they have to get up on top of this, like, greenhouse type of thing that's held together with, like, these plastic pieces.
Yeah.
And the monster's underneath it. It's jumping, it's slashing at it as their weight is starting to bring the pieces apart.
Yeah, because the staples are starting to come apart, and the little girl's, like, standing on top, and
then she falls, and that's another scene that reminds me of Jurassic Park. Remember when the girl falls through the thing? But I don't know. I like this movie.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed it.
There's the look of the werewolf. Okay, people said it looks like Ron Perlman. Yeah, I could see that.
I thought it looked more like Hills, like, because he's just transformed.
Yeah.
He's not a full werewolf.
The Alex
yet.
Aja one, the remake of Hills Have Eyes, where they have that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Hills Have Eyes a lot, and it was just, I don't know, like, you finally figure out that, like, there's another the werewolf that's trying to come for them is actually the old dad.
Yeah,
because
he sees the tattoo on his arm.
Yeah, and that's how they figure out, like, who he is and, like, why he's transforming now, and...
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't as good as Invisible Man, obviously. There's a couple little things that I would have done with this, but for the most part, I don't really get all the... I didn't think the kid was annoying.
No.
Yeah. I didn't think the mom was annoying. I didn't think they made, like stupid... they didn't make stupid decisions, like, overtly stupid decisions, like in a horror movie. Like, okay, them climbing on top of the thing, they were just trying to get higher ground.
Yeah.
The dad completely changed into a werewolf. Then you have werewolf on werewolf fight.
Yes.
Which is always cool, and they did that in the Benicio del Toro one as well.
And it was kind of interesting because, like, he actually comes back and, like, at first he's in the house, and this is after he, like, chased him away before you even know it's the dad, because the dad actually comes in the house later on. But he, like, throws up a finger.
Yeah.
And puking on the floor, blood.
The wolf nails are coming out of his nails, and then when he finally transformed, he breaks his own jaw.
That made my...
I was like, oh! So it had some cool body horror stuff to it. It kind of, I don't know. I liked it. I for the most part, for like a Blumhouse movie, it had a budget. It had a cool score. I liked the cinematography of it.
I mean, the scenes are beautiful.
Yeah,
the scenes are definitely beautiful.
But I knew exactly where it was going to end up too.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was like
because
everything started at the beginning.
Yeah, it's like,
oh,
they mentioned that that place where you could see the two mountains.
Yeah, because he always says the valley's the most beautiful thing that he loved about, and they finally get to see it at the end.
Because then they go up into the perch as well, and the werewolf clearly wants to die, and because the little girl does this thing which is like touches her dad's head and she could read his thoughts, like joking with him, and he's like, he wants this to end, and she shoots him in the chest, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So Wolfman, would you recommend it?
I would. I
All
would. Even check it out with the moving seats and shit. That was really cool.
And so I mean, in the parlance of like Wolfman movies, you know, I love American Werewolf in London and The Howling and the original Wolfman. I even really like the Benicio del Toro one, even the Hammer Wolfman movies. This would be up there, but not like high up there.
No.
Better than The Howling 2. Your sister's a werewolf.
It was not as bad as Morbius.
No, there you go. There you go. And speaking of Morbius, that's a movie about vampires. And our second movie today was Nosferatu.
Nosferatu, which I enjoyed because I actually got to see it a little bit before. And
yeah, you told me the other day you were watching it.
yeah, I really enjoyed like the sets. I'm a very historical costume person. I love the design. Like they were very true to like the nature of that era.
Yeah, it felt very much like because this is the third time this movie's been made. There was the F.W. Murnau version with Max Schreck, the silent film, and I told you the whole history of that one, which is they made this unauthorized Dracula movie, and Bram Stoker's wife was like, no, so she ordered all copies to be destroyed because it was plagiarism. And so some of them got to other countries, and those are the versions that still exist to this day. And then in the 1970s, Werner Herzog remade it with Klaus Kinski, and I think that's my favorite version of it. I like in that one that Kinski is more of he's more of a sympathetic creature. In this one, there's a lot of that as well, where he's like, I'm not even a thing. I'm just an appetite, you know. And I definitely, but I thought this one was really cool. I like Eggers as a director. We saw the Northman together.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like,
I love the Northman.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that movie.
And yeah, that one didn't do very well.
No, but people had very high expectations and don't look at the art of it.
Yeah. And so this movie, Edgar's been trying to make since high school, apparently. And what we were talking about on the drive back was that even though the movie's in color, it's so drab that at times it feels like it's emulating black and white.
Oh, yeah. Well, whenever you saw Nosferatu, or you knew that he was possessing someone, like, the scene was immediately, like, a black and white, or, like, a bluish white tone. So it, like, gave you that feel of, like, of an old movie, but, like, when everything is in life, and, like, it's in color. Because
everything, once he starts coming to, like, things are a little bit more colorful, and, like, when they first go to the house where Johnny Depp's daughter is going to be staying, when they're like smoking cigars and drinking brandy, there's a lot of color in those scenes. But as soon as Orlok is getting closer to getting there, he's on the Demeter and stuff, everything becomes much darker, much more color saturated.
And that's when he's like possessing her. So whenever she's in a trance or in that field, she's already in that color. And it starts off in that color because it started off and she's like dreaming of him and like. Yeah.
So basically, the what they changed about this one was. Her character is lonely, and she just calls out for a guardian angel, like, someone hear my prayer, someone come to me, and it wakes up Orlok, who's been, he's undead, but he then begins to haunt her and possess her, and when she finally meets her husband, who's the new Lex Luthor, he has kind of made it so that, she doesn't feel that anymore, but then once he gets sent away to Orlok's castle to buy the land because it's like Dracula, he comes back into the picture when he realizes that that's his wife.
And you actually find out that it was he actually planned it from the get-go because the company that the guy works for is already in cahoots with him. Like,
and the one guy is essentially Renfield.
Yeah, he basically like already has the demonic circle on the floor and has already pledged his life.
And that was the cool thing. So in the original one, the people who produced it were very much into the occult. So there's real sigils in that movie. And I thought that was cool that like at that time in Germany, like that was a real no-no. But, but they used a lot of those same sigils in this one. I was like, oh, it's cool the way they brought that in. And you have Kraven the Hunter was great in it. He was in one of the worst movies of the year and one of the best movies of the year.
Willem Dafoe is awesome.
Willem Dafoe, when he gets to the movie, it lightens up.
Oh, yeah. He brings like very seriousness about like the occult to it, but he's also like very playful with it.
He's Van Helsing basically.
Yeah.
Because even we were talking about the Coppola one, and when Anthony Hopkins enters the movie, the tone changes as well.
It was more serious when he entered.
And then, but I like it when he's like in the Coppola one where he's like talking about they cut her head off, and then it cuts directly to him cutting meat. And he's like, oh, we cut her head off, we put her back in the thing, and they're just like, what? Like.
But there was very correlations that I could see with Bram Stoker's because I didn't know that piece before he told me.
And they're all kind of the same, it's all they're all telling the exact same story. This one handled the Demeter stuff way better than that fucking the Last Voyage of the Demeter movie that came out last year. That was terrible. That was the only time that a major studio ever saw one of my reviews and struck it. because I put out our review. I saw the movie a month ahead of time. They never gave me a review date, so I just put my review up. And 20th Century Fox or whoever made it sent me an email like, take it down now. And I was like, all right, cool. So I just changed the date on it to be like later when it comes out.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's following the Dracula stories. The one thing I didn't like about this one and about the 70s version is just stick with the other names.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to go call it Nosferatu, like, thankfully they didn't call him Dracula or anything like that. But they still, like, they played a little too much into the Dracula stuff. I wish they would have stuck to the stuff that Murnau had done originally. Yeah. The other big point of contention is Nosferatu does not look like the Max Schreck version that kids only know because of SpongeBob, apparently. Nosferatu. He's in the thing. Somebody did that recently. Have you ever seen that little clip? Mm-hmm. So there's a thing where because it's public domain, Squidward and those guys, they're like, who's turning the lights off? They turn around, it just cuts that scene from the original Nosferatu when he's standing in the door, but they have it that he's flipping the lights on and off. So somebody just did that with Bill Skarsgård's version. So Bill Skarsgård, who is It, and The Crow.
Yeah, he has that face that, like, will always be that character. And even as Nosferatu, like, he can't get away from it, like, no matter what, because that's just his bone structure.
But it's like, you really can't tell that's him.
No.
It reminded me a lot of Gary Oldman as Mason Verger in Hannibal.
And there's even a scene where he stands up and he's, like, full frontal.
Yeah,
like,
full frontal, naked.
It was kind of crazy because, like, he's just so, like, emaciated and, like...
He's covered in, like, big
sores
open sores.
Like,
because in the sex scene, she's, like, fingering his fucking, like, sores on his back.
I thought for some reason that he would turn human because I'm so used to, like, you know, Bram Stoker's, like, when he, like, looks normal. But, like, he never gets that.
Yeah, but that's one thing I liked about the, so the original, there are some people who think that the original design is anti-Jewish.
Why?
Because if you look at it, it has some of the same similarities of, like, racist drawings back in that time of Jewish people. So some people say that. So I'd understand not going that route with the design, but there is certain things that you think of when you think of Nosferatu, like the teeth in the front and the ears and all that. They kept the hands, which was really cool.
Oh yeah, the hands were the spookiest part, especially because they also did the shadow that opens the door, and it's not really him. It's just like the shadow.
The shadow opens the door.
The shadow in a lot of the scenes is like basically what is the possessed, and like that's when they understand like that she's a gifted person. Like she's not really. She's not really sick, and that she's actually like a channel.
She's a channel, and that's what woke him up in the first place was because she has that ability. But yes, he was good. I liked it. He looked obviously like people are like Dracula with the mustache or whatever. But yeah, a bunch of Draculas have mustaches. But like they made him look like what a Romanian nobleman would have looked like. His voice was really cool. He had to learn how to bring it down an octave, which is fucking crazy. And Johnny Depp's daughter was really good.
Oh, she was great. I think everyone was great in the movie. I even liked the scene with the nuns. Like, I thought that was really nice because the one is just chanting in Latin or maybe Romanian.
Yeah, probably Romanian.
But you have the other girl that's translating and like.
Well, they do that also when they're in the gypsy village as well, and they go into the little like inn,
and the naked girl.
And she's the naked girl thing too. But they're like, don't go to that castle, turn around. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of they do that in Dracula. They do that in the Wolfman, stuff like that. No, I don't know. It was beautiful. It's interesting to see a horror movie that's done this opulently.
Yes.
Where the costumes there's so much attention given to the costumes, and the set design and the way that everything had this symmetrical look to it, the way that the colors worked with it,
the way her scene shifted.
Yeah.
Even just the placement of like certain ideas, because like even you're used to like I'm used to Bram Stoker's and even seeing a lunatic in the asylum and like just how his character.
Do you know who played Renfield in his movie?
No, I do not.
Tom Waits.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know who that is.
You know who Tom Waits is? Really?
You probably tell me the character. Like,
no, he's a singer, poet.
No.
What? Okay, I'll show you. I love fucking Tom Waits, man. Tom Waits is great. Do you know who Crystal Gale is?
No.
Singer? Oh, okay. Coppola did another movie called One for the Heart, and it's this kind of musical movie thing about a romance, and Crystal Gale and Tom Waits, two performers that should never be working together, came together and did this really beautiful soundtrack because they have such polar opposite
That's good.
Auras. No, I really liked it. I love the look of things. I thought the acting was great across the board. You know, and really the entire movie could have been solved if it's just like, she's like, hey dude, like, fill my puss hole right now, and he's like, no, real estate. Like,
well, that's like the scene where she's possessed, and all of a sudden she's like, I'm fine, I won't be possessed anymore. And then she like comes up to him like for his cock, and then it's just like they fuck, and you're just like,
but
what?
It's funny when they're fucking because she's like, he's cucula. She's like, I hope he sees us. Like,
and then you see the bloody face, and he jumps off her like, oh my god.
She just wanted to get nailed, man. And she's a much better actress in this than I gave her credit for, because I never saw that show she did on HBO with the guy, The Weeknd or whatever. That guy is like, ooh, I'm blind.
I knew you were talking about. I thought it was called the show was called The Weeknd.
Yeah, I don't know what the show is called, but she was on that. And then she was in those 2 Kevin Smith movies, and she was pretty terrible in Yoga Hosers. That's an awful movie. So I didn't quite know what to expect, because I would have thought like an Anna Taylor-Joy would have played this part.
Yeah,
because she works with Eggers all the time.
Like I said, when I first watched it and I just saw the first scene and just how she acted that, I was like, oh, she's a really good actress for this.
But that thing she was doing with her body, like when she's possessed and stuff like that, it was very like, she was giving a performance.
Oh yeah, it was definitely like very Exorcist, like the exorcism of Emily Rose.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep.
And just the way she moved her body, and whether it was her or like a body double, I don't know, but certain scenes like,
because there's even times where like her body, like when she's laying in the bed and she snaps to, and like or she's up here. I was like, oh, it's really cool, like that, you know. But again, it's all comes down to the way he moves the camera is so effortlessly done, and the way the score works, everything kind of works in sequence with each other. And I really like this movie, but there's something missing.
That I felt the same way. Like I was like, I don't know if it's the ending, I don't know if it's the beginning, but watching it in the theater and just seeing the beautiful shot of Lily and, you know, the Nosferatu.
Orlok.
They're both dead on the bed, and like Willem Dafoe puts flowers and blood. That was a really pretty picture.
That was my favorite scene of the movie, because that is like that's like a painting. The original movie, basically, Nosferatu goes to her to feed, and then he stays too long, and the sun comes up. This is actually the first one where, like, the original Nosferatu is the first time that part of the vampire mythology came in, with the sun being able to kill them. Yeah. There used to be an old mythology, the sun would make them weak but couldn't kill them. So basically, Willem Dafoe is like, you got to give yourself willingly to him to end the plague.
And he knows this because he found their doctor in their book, and he sees the tale, and it actually tells you how he's killed. Yeah. And William Dafoe understands what has to be done and lets her know. So
he takes the other ones out on basically like a fake mission to you know.
Well, they think it's a real mission, I know. But he knows that he's not going to be there because it's the third night, because that's what it is. It's over 3 nights, and by the third night that she's going to be dying.
Because he brought a plague to Germany.
And I liked that it was a cargo ship of rats.
Yeah.
It was basically just in his box, it was all full of rats. And a ship just crashes into the dock, and all these rats are now set free in the city.
So his evil is essentially spread all over the city, and everyone's dying because of it. Her best friend dies, their kids die.
Yeah, well, her best friend gets possessed, and he's basically using... I feel like he was using her to get to, you know, get to the whole family.
He eats the kids.
Yeah, she has 2 daughters, and, you know, the one night he silences the husband.
Yeah, he's like, you won't wake up or whatever.
And he was there to protect them. Like, he knew something was happening. And, you know, the girlfriend, sister, best friend goes in to see her kids, and he's got the one daughter just hanging there, he's like biting into her and drops her. And
I was glad they killed kids in it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they didn't show you exactly. Like, it's more like a silhouette.
Yeah, that was the cool thing too. He's always in silhouette. So because
he's the shadow.
Yeah, and Nosferatu's not in that much of the movie really, but his presence hangs over the whole movie. His presence and just his statue, like when you see how tall he is with Lily and some of the other characters, because even his minion, that is his dog, the human dog, is like 4 foot, you think. And he should have been the king of the rats. That was just so funny when you first see him. Like, I'm looking at him like, wow, that dude is like really proportional. He must be small. And then you see him next to the other guy, it's like this different. Well, the first time you see him too, he's completely naked. He just pulls we're gonna see Dick, and he pulls the book around and covers it. I was like, oh, we could have. That's the second time, because you first see him, he's in that
he's in the coattail jacket.
Oh,
Remember?
that's right. Yep,
He's the boss of the whatever firm it was.
Yeah, it was a law firm. Yeah. Again, had he just fucked his wife, all those people would have been okay. But business. No, I just felt like something was missing. I wanted to love it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's because I am so.
The tale so
and I'm
much.
so in love with the Coppola version. Like, I literally have been obsessed with that movie since 1992 when it came out, because there's so many things about that movie when it comes to the costume designs, how they did the special effects, like all that stuff is so weird and interesting that I was like, oh my god, this is like the ultimate Dracula movie. Because you take the Bela Lugosi one that everybody knows, but it's based on the stage play. It's not really based. You never see him drink blood. I like Daughter of Dracula a lot, and then you have Son of Dracula over here, which is Harry Nilsson, Ringo Starr movie.
Which I gotta see.
It's so terrible. It's awesome. He's called Countdown.
Oh god.
But yeah, no, it's better than Dracula 2000 with Gerard Butler and Vitamin C.
Isn't there a Dracula movie with James Wood?
Oh, Vampires.
Okay.
Yeah, that John Carpenter made. Yep. So would you recommend this one too?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. Especially for me, like I said, I really enjoyed the sets. I really love the costumes. If you're like partial with spit and shit, you might want to skip a couple.
Or a lot of puking blood and
That part wasn't bad. It was that there was one scene she's just like possessed and you just see this long spit. I'm like, how did she do that?
But even when they're kissing, and that's when she's crawling on the ground. She's like, "I'll be good," and it's dripping down her face. I was like, "Uh-oh."
when her face went up to his cock, I heard you giggle next to me.
I was like, "Is that her stepbrother?"
Oh god.
Well, she's stuck in a trance.
She was slept for Dracula.
Who isn't though? Monica Bellucci was one of the vampire brides in the other one.
I love best tits in that movie.
Pretty good. So I don't know. It was cool to have two monster movies out at the same time and to get to go see them both in the same day. I'm sure that Nosferatu's already streaming, but I haven't had time or a vehicle.
No, it's not out yet.
Is it? Okay, cool.
I just found it on its site.
All right. Well, I know Wicked is, and I'm just getting it next week because I had to fill in a week. So, but I want to see Wicked too. Maybe I'll do a review of Wicked.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But no, it's cool. And then there's Frankenstein movies coming up, and I think they're doing another Mummy movie coming up. So
and we saw some previews of some really good movies, and the one is Love Hurts.
Yeah, with
Data.
With Data, yeah, and the one with Mila Jovovich and Batista looks cool too.
Yes, that does. I forget what it's called already.
I don't remember. It was like the dude who made
Land or something.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah, like it's like there's George R.R. Martin came up with the idea. It's the dude who directed the Resident Evil movies, and like it's got like knights and gunslingers and zombies. I was like, this looks like fun. Yeah.
That one looks.
And then that other one we saw looked really cool.
Breathe.
The Lady in the Dark.
Oh,
Lady in the Yard.
Lady in the Yard.
I don't know what it is, but it looked fucking creepy. Whoa, he just zoomed in on you. It's like
it just keeps doing that.
Yeah, well, you're the looks and I'm the brains. But no, it looks like there's some cool shit coming out, and we'll have to figure out the next time we can do it. I haven't done a double feature in a long time.
We gotta do them more often.
Yeah,
it's so much fun.
And there's a theater. Well, my theater here, but we only have one screen. But like over there was nobody fucking there. I think that we were the only ones in the Wolfman. And
then there was like two or three other
people,
other sets of people that were supposedly behind us.
Because there was I was like, we can sit wherever we want. Who fucking cares, you know? So yeah, if you're a monster movie fan, if you're a fan of just beautiful filmmaking, like it's so rare to see a horror movie which is treated like an art film. Yeah, and that last scene of his skeleton on her and she's nude and it's covered with this flower. I was like, that's something out of a painting.
That would be a nice poster.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And there's just a lot of that in this. As ugly as the movie is, there's so many shots, like the scenes when they're first to the castle where it's all lit by the fire and stuff like that. It's beautiful cinematography. And again, Wolfman was fun. I have issues with it, but not enough to make me go, oh, that wasn't worth the $10 that we spent or whatever.
I was well.
Yeah.
I was well.
Yeah, you were
I well enjoyed both of them.
And that was after you ate a hot dog seductively.
Oh my god, he would not. He was laughing at me.
She got a hot dog. She didn't want the bun.
I can't eat the bun, so like I'm just eating this like quarter-pound hot dog that's literally like this thick, and As I'm eating it, he's talking shit, and I'm almost choking on it.
Yeah, you are.
See?
Because you're like doing like that, and I'm like, yeah, take it.
And I'm biting it, and I'm like, this is how children die. This is how they choke on a fucking hot dog.
So that's why we're not allowed to go places anymore.
Oh my god.
All right, so that's the Wolfman, and fuck your wife so she doesn't bring a plague to Germany. I like that it was German, but everyone had British accents, but they occasionally would say German words.
Well, we've seen the German version.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I saw it, it was the French version, so at least I got to read what stuff was.
At least like in Les Miserables when everybody was British.
Yeah.
And I was like, in the French Revolution, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I think that Nosferatu is worth seeing if you're a fan of art direction and cinematography and costume design. It's beautiful. And Wolfman, if you're just looking for like a fun, like it probably would work better if you were just getting it on Amazon or something like that.
Yeah.
If you don't have to go to the theater for it, but I think if you watched it at home, you wouldn't be disappointed in it.
No, it wasn't bad. It's the only odds part, like you said, like the wife looks way younger.
Yeah, we thought it was his daughter. But yeah, no, for the most part, like I thought the transformation scenes were cool. That's my favorite part of like the werewolf mythology is the transformation stuff, and I thought they did a really good job with it. It looked painful.
Yeah,
I like when it looks painful, like in American Werewolf when David like just fucking on the floor and all that.
And it's not like he completely wolfed out. He still had a connection with his family because he wasn't all the way transformed yet.
But even the other guy wasn't too. Like it was that wolf face thing. It was. They weren't a complete animal, but they were an animal that stood on two legs, is what he says. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. So, all right, what's the next movie we're going to see?
I definitely want to see that Love Hurts if that comes out. And that would be said March for that,
Yeah, that comes out in March.
And then,
it looks like Nobody, but with fucking short rounds. So,
it's
Mr. Nobody, or whatever, what was that movie called? The one with, they did a movie with... Better Call Saul, where he was like kind of a John Wick guy.
Nobody. Nobody 2 is coming out.
Oh, okay,
so I can't wait for that to come out.
Because it's got Christopher Lloyd in it as well.
That's my favorite. That was one of my favorite movies.
That was fun. That was during COVID too, because I remember I was still working at the other place, but I went to the theater where I would eventually work, and when I came back to my apartment, remember my ceiling had a hole in it?
Yeah.
The guy upstairs tried to like flush something down the toilet, and it got into the ceiling and came through, so they had to cut a piece of my ceiling out, and they just left it like that. They're like, oh, we'll get to it. I was like, when? I'm paying to live here, and I got a fucking hole in my ceiling. I covered it with a trash bag. I was like, cool, I live in,
After you didn't have heat for months, too.
That sucked. I don't know if I ever talked about that on this channel. They cut the, they were in I had like a little, I don't know what that is, like a little thing, closet outside the water heater was in. And I guess one of the dudes like cut the line and didn't want to get in trouble, so he didn't tell anybody. And I kept being like, hey, I can't make my apartment warm.
And it's middle of winter. Like, we're lucky we didn't have as cold a days we have this year, because he was literally at his house like, I don't have heat.
Yeah, and I kept calling Pico, and they're like, well, they got to get somebody to fix the line from your...
We were sitting in your house and
I went and got a bunch. I went and got a bunch of those those heaters. So I had like heaters strewn all about my apartment, and the lady was like, well, it's gonna be springtime soon. I was like, what's your fucking name?
And it still wasn't done by spring.
No.
We had some cold days that spring.
Yeah, because when you and Max would come over, I'd be like, oh my god, it's so fucking cold. Because when we were playing video games the one night, you brought over the thing, and I was just like, oh, we had like bundled. I was gonna set a trash can on fire like we're homeless people. All right, so that's it. That's our monster movie double feature, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.